Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. My name is Katerina and I've been documenting my bariatric journey. I had Roux-en-Y bariatric surgery back in December 2022. And right now I'm just gonna share my insights being 1 year post-op bariatric surgery. If that's something that's interesting to you, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I share my journey, the ups and downs and the in-betweens. So go ahead, stick around, and I'll tell you all about my 1 year post-op journey. Before I forget, my next video is going to be all about the liver shrinking diet that you have to do before the surgery. That's what I struggled the most with. So I'm going to reserve a full video just for that. I know a lot of people have been asking me about it. I'll tell you how I survived it, how I barely survived it, and I'll go into a lot of details about what might help you get through it. So hopefully you're gonna stick around, and hopefully you subscribed already to my channel so you'll be advised as soon as I release it. If you're coming back to my channel, thank you. I truly appreciate your support and your encouragement. You stuck with me through thick, through thin, and from unhealthy to healthy. So thank you for your encouragement. Thank you so much for your comments, all of your support. I really appreciate you being here. Stick around. Today I'm going to talk to you about my ups and downs for the 1 year journey. I'm going to share with you how it went pre-op, post-op, the in-betweens, what I've been struggling with at the beginning, what I'm struggling with now, and tell you how the surgery went. I'll tell you what I would strongly advise that you do prior to surgery and all of the good stuff. So to start it all off, it's been over a year now because my surgery was back in December 2022. We're now late January, so I'm a bit late to release this video. I've had so many amazing times right now during the holidays and seeing family and just lots of life changes as well. I have a new job, new schedule, and I'm also dealing with health issues with my mom. So this is one of the reasons why it's been delayed. However, I'm glad I have a few minutes right now to talk to you, to share some of my insights, and I'm hoping it's going to be useful to anyone that's thinking about having surgery or who just recently had surgery and they want to know what it's like. What is life like a year post-op? So I want to go ahead and share all that with you. But let's go back to the here and now. So what really motivated me to have bariatric surgery was a deep desire for change. I had gotten to a point in my life where I tried so hard to just get healthy, and the more I tried, it seemed the more I was failing. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. So I've always been an overweight person. I've always had the look down from my doctor, always telling me, you need to lose weight. It was always a thing for me. Ever since I was small, I remember the kids making fun of me because of my weight when I was small. I remember going to the doctor's office as a teenager and they couldn't believe how much I weighed and they made a whole spectacle in front of everybody in the waiting room. I was always afraid to see a doctor just because I always was made to feel like I was less than. And so at this point, I was avoiding to go seeing doctors and I was trying to take care of my health on my own. And by the time I was in my late 20s, I suffered a stroke. And I was left with changes called aphasia. I had a very hard time speaking, couldn't remember my words, couldn't remember my parents' names, my boyfriend's name. I couldn't read or write. Everything was jumbled. And I suffered with that for a long time. And I was in therapy for a long time. And by the grace of God, words came back to me. So I was able to fully recover from my stroke. It took about 2 years before I fully recovered from my stroke. At that point, I was approaching my 30s and I was slowly gaining more and more weight. I was on diets constantly. I was on all diets, big advocate for Atkins back in those days. and I was trying my best to lose weight. And sometimes I would lose 20, 40. And then for some reason, just because I was able to lose that weight, I would just stop and then go back into my old habits. And I was never able to make a major life change. I was never able to commit 100%. And so the weight just kept creeping on. And then by that time, I already had type 2 diabetes. I was already suffering with joint pain, knee pain, back pain. And it was just getting worse. So the worse that I felt, the more uncomfortable I felt in my body, the less I wanted to move. And so that caused another negative effect where I would just gain more and more weight. I had gotten to the point by the time I was in my 30s and I had my first child, I was morbidly obese. However, the pregnancy went well with my first child, and I was able to recover very quickly and just kept on doing what I was doing, continuing, trying to survive, trying to be as healthy as I could, but failing miserably. At that point, the 30s came and went, and I hit my 40s, and then I had a huge surprise. I found out I was pregnant at 40 years old. It was something really unexpected. I honestly thought I was premenopausal because I didn't have a regular period. And so finding out I was pregnant was a big shock for me. And the doctor really looked me in the eyes and said, you are not very healthy. I don't know how it's going to go with this pregnancy. You're going to be high risk. You're going to have to stop working immediately. You're going to have to be in bed rest, and we're going to have to see you every second day. And so that was my journey for my second pregnancy. It was the complete opposite of my first pregnancy. I was just immobile at that point. I crept up all the way to 356 pounds. My height at that time was 5'10". And I just couldn't move anymore. I couldn't go up the stairs. I lived on the second floor. And so I could barely go up the stairs to go to my house. And yet I had to get out of the house every 2 days to see the doctors. And so that was a very miserable experience for me. And the more I gained weight, the further along the pregnancy went, my diabetes became more and more aggravated, and I had to take insulin. And I had gotten to the point where I was taking 400 units of insulin, which is an extreme amount. And the doctors were saying it was just very dangerous. It was dangerous for me. It was dangerous for the baby. But there was nothing I could do to control what was happening with my body. The more advanced I became in my pregnancy, the harder it became to just live and breathe at that point. And by the grace of God, however, we did survive the pregnancy. My son did come out hypoglycemic because he was so dependent on the insulin that I was giving that he was in the ICU for a while just to make sure that we can stabilize his sugar. He's now 4 years old, and I'm glad to say he's very healthy. He does not have diabetes. He's not hypoglycemic. And we're working on making sure that he never does become diabetic. And so this is where we're at right now. I am 45 years old today. I feel the healthiest I've ever been. I honestly have the most amount of energy I've ever had. And I'm grateful to have been able to have bariatric surgery. So prior to bariatric surgery, like I said, I was doing the best I could to get my health under control, trying to be able to be healthier, failing miserably, but seeing some successes. So there was sometimes I was able to lose the weight, and then as soon as I would hit a certain amount, I would almost sabotage myself and then just go back to old habits. And I decided to start seeing a therapist. So I started seeing a therapist, and things changed pretty quickly at that point. I started to realize why I was sabotaging myself. I started to realize also why I was eating the way I did. Why did I have such a bad relationship with food? Why did I depend on food almost like a drug? And why was it that I would binge on it? That I would deprive myself for a while and then binge. And I found different ways to deal with it. And I found different ways to deal with my emotions as well. I developed new habits and eventually got rid of old habits. And so that was the starting point for me, where I was able to make success, constant success, and not sabotage myself anymore. After I started therapy, I was able to maintain a better, healthier way of living, and I was also able to maintain it. And so what I mean by that is, prior to having surgery, I lost a certain amount of weight. I believe it was 67.3. I'm looking at my computer right now. I'm not sure if I wrote it down. Oh, I lost 64.7 pounds prior to surgery. And I did that many ways. I changed the way that I was eating as well. So I used to have very high carbs diet. I reduced my amount of carbs drastically. Not keto wise, not Atkins wise. However, I still reduced it. I made a conscious effort to avoid pastas and breads, sweets as well. But I didn't deprive myself either, because I knew that the way that I used to eat is, if I deprive myself for a while, then I would do the complete opposite and binge on whatever it was that I was depriving on. So if I wanted something sweet, and I couldn't find another way to satisfy my urges, I would have it. I would just make sure that I was conscious about it and that I would eat in moderation. I also forced myself to go for walks, and let me tell you, that was painful. It was painful to walk. It was taking 30 steps would be something that would hurt me physically. It would physically hurt me. But I would push through the pain, and slowly, my endurance would build up. And it got to the point where I was able to lose 64.7 pounds on my own prior to surgery. However, my diabetes was still there. I still had all the negative effects from diabetes, and I still had a lot more weight to lose. So that's when I saw my doctor and I said, I'm strongly considering bariatric surgery. And she encouraged me. She said, you know what, you do qualify for it. You do have the high BMI. You have the other medical conditions as well that would go with it. I'm going to go ahead and refer you to the bariatric clinic, which is what she did. And that was my second saving grace as well, because the bariatric clinic took me on and just made sure that I was connected with the right people, made sure that I had the right psychologist, the right behavioral therapist, the right nutritionist, the right support all around me to make sure that I become a success in this journey. And I am so grateful for them. So they encouraged me to continue on with therapy, which I did, and I still do. They encouraged me to make sure that I track everything I eat, just to be conscious of what I put in my mouth, just to be conscious of when I put it in my mouth. So not just what you put in your mouth, but when. What motivates you to eat this or that. And also as a visual to see, oh, you really did eat that much today. Like, oh, did you forget, you know? And also they ensured that I continued on with my follow-ups, continued to see the registered nurse who really guided me through the ups and downs of the surgery and was very clear with me, was extremely clear with me on what my expectations should be. Because I'm sure, like you, I was all over social media looking to see success stories, horror stories. I read about all the complications about bariatric surgery. I read all about the different types of bariatric surgery. And I read all these horror stories, which really frightened me. And I also got motivated by all the success stories that I saw as well. And so with all that in mind, my team, my medical team, made sure that even with all I knew, that I was fully aware that it is a journey that you take on your own, that your medical condition is different than everybody else's. So for me, I was suffering with type 2 diabetes. I have hypothyroidism, so my thyroid doesn't function well. It functions very slowly. I'm also menopausal. I had the surgery to remove everything down there. So at this point, losing weight is a very slow process for me as well. So my expectations are different than somebody who's in their 20s, who is able to recover quickly, who has all of their hormones still raging in their body, and who doesn't have type 2 diabetes, and who doesn't suffer from hypothyroidism. So my expectations were set. I think that's something that is very, very crucial, because when I go on social media and I read some of the posts, people have surgery and the next day they're asking, when can I have a steak? Or, like, when can I have chips? And I'm thinking to myself, dude, you just had surgery. Like, give your body some time, right? I do want to tell you that a year post-op, you can have and eat absolutely anything you want. And it should still sit well with you and it shouldn't be an issue. However, the big surprise is, by the time you hit 1 year post-op, all the cravings that you used to have will probably change. Whatever you were craving for before, you won't have any interest in. And that's okay. That's okay. You'll develop new habits, you'll develop new tastes, and hopefully they will be healthier than the previous ones that you had. I'll tell you, I used to crave salt and vinegar chips. I also used to crave brownies. I don't really care for them much now. Once in a while, I might have some salt and vinegar chips. But it's not a craving, and I'm able to limit myself, and I could go with or without, and I'm fine with it. I have developed new cravings, however, which is weird to me. And I crave salad sometimes. I have like a desperate need to have a salad, which is like, who would have thought? I love soups. I used to never eat soups. I used to think that they were just fillers. And now I prepare soups, I make them, I buy them, I love them, I eat them all the time. So, and they're super convenient on the go, because I'm the kind of person that's always doing something and I'm always on the go. So having a soup for me, and I usually drink it like in a cup. So it's like food on the go for me. What else can I share with you? I'll tell you that it's an emotional experience. Being 1 year post-op is an emotional experience, and it starts off immediately. The moment that you have the surgery, you have a drastic realization that, oh my God, I did something major. It's a major life-changing surgery, and you might regret it instantly. I didn't, but I heard that a lot of people do regret it instantly. And because it's a restriction. It really is. It's a restriction. The way that you lived before will no longer apply. You'll never be able to do the things that you did before the way that you did them. Not even a year post-op, not even 5 years post-op, not the way that you did it. But you will be able to go back to something familiar. I promise you that. However, the day after surgery, all you're thinking about is, oh my God, what have I done? Oh my God, how am I going to recover? Oh my goodness, how am I going to get all my liquids in? Because they really force you to make sure that you get all your liquids in. And you got to get all your proteins in. So that was a struggle. But you can't stress over it, right? You got to remember, you have to get your liquids in. So you sip on that water as much as you can. And then, if you got to drink protein shakes to get your protein in, that's fine as well. Just think about, it's just a small part of the journey. Those liquid phases prior to the surgery and right after the surgery, for me personally, was the hardest part of the entire journey. Wasn't the surgery itself, wasn't the restriction either. It was the liquid phase. It was so difficult to feel nourished and full and just complete and satisfied with just liquids. So it was hard. It was extremely hard, and I'll tell you all about it on my next video, which I'll really go and delve really deep into it. However, I want to let you know that if you just think one day at a time, if you just think, I got this, I got this. It's just one day, then the next day, then the next day, and every day gets easier. I promise. And then you realize, okay, I'm in the puree phase now. I could have food. Yeah, it looks like baby food, but it's food. It tastes better than liquids. And then soon you'll be having solid foods. And that's where you go into the discovery part of the journey. This is the part where you start discovering, what can I handle? What can I eat now? Because I would like to have this or that, you know? And you might get sick. You might experience some vomiting. Because you might not know how much you can eat. You might have in your head like, oh, I really want to eat this, but you put it in your mouth and instantly it comes back out. That can happen. It's the discovery phase. It's the phase where you realize what your body can handle. Can it handle it? Can I handle it now, or is it going to be later? So that was a very interesting phase for me. I literally followed my doctor's advice to the letter at that point. At that point, I didn't rush through it. I just tried to just stick to whatever my diet was that my doctor gave me. And even though it was boring and bland, I just stuck by it until 3 months post-op. At 3 months post-op, I felt like I had a handle on what I could eat. And so I started trying new things. I started trying different kinds of food, or the food that I used to eat before, but in different portions. And I saw what I can handle and what I couldn't handle. And I realized very quickly that I couldn't handle sugars anymore, which was kind of terrifying and a blessing, because I had a sweet tooth. I used to have a sweet tooth, and I used to binge on sweets all the time. And now I can't. Not even a year post-op, I can have some sweets, but instantly I'll feel bad. I'll feel physically bad. And that's okay. I don't feel bad about it. I can have cake. If it's somebody's birthday, yes, I'll have cake. I'm not gonna deprive myself. I'll have cake. But will I feel good about it afterwards? Physically, I won't. Physically, I'll feel very drained, almost like a heavy feeling in my belly, and not something that you want to do very often. So I avoid it. But the good thing is that by the time I was 5 months post-op, I didn't have diabetes anymore. And that was victory to me. I didn't care what the number on the scale was. I didn't care about anything else. I didn't even care that I was losing all my hair at that point. I didn't have diabetes, and that was the number one reason why I had this operation. And so anything that happens around that, it is a success just because I don't have diabetes anymore. And I've learned to manage my sugars. I've learned to check on myself, prioritize myself, make sure that my health is always in check. And I found ways to work around all my restrictions and make it seem seamless. And it takes a while. That's why if you just recently had surgery, don't think, oh my God, when can I have lobster? When can I have this? Or what, think the next day. The next day I'll have this and I'll try this. Think today was a success, tomorrow is going to be a success, one day at a time. Try to get your head game straight before you even attempt to try to ruin it with sweets and stuff that you shouldn't be having. Because I promise you, life will go back to normal. Like a year passed like this, at the beginning, you're just waiting and you just want it to be over with. But it passes just like that. And so you just have to be patient and give yourself some grace as well. There are so many positives after this surgery that they far outweigh whatever complications or frustrations you might have after surgery. Unless you're experiencing some sort of medical complication, everything else should be fine. My major accomplishments, I'll tell you. In the summertime, the fair comes to town, and we all used to go. We've always gone, and I was never able to ride the rides because I didn't fit in the seats. This year, however, this past summer, I was able to ride it with my son, my eldest son. Also, I went to the park with my youngest one. I was able to slide with him and swing with him, something that I was never able to do just because I didn't fit. So those little moments of just ordinary daily life for me, being able to participate in life rather than being on the sidelines, is a major victory for me. Those non-skill victories that we call, the ones that have nothing to do with the weight, have nothing to do with the number on the scale, but allow you to be proud of yourself and just be part of life, is something that you absolutely are grateful for after surgery. Being able to partake in just everyday common, just basic things that you just couldn't do before is a life changer. It really is. I couldn't remember the last time I was able to swing on a swing at a park. I was in my 20s for sure, early 20s. Never have I been able to do it with my children until now. Also, it's a surprise every time I go shopping for clothes. It's a surprise to reach out for the medium size rather than a 3X. It's a surprise to be able to find clothes that fit me no matter where I go now. I don't have to go to a specialty store. I don't have to shop at only certain stores. I can go anywhere and dress myself, and that's great. That's amazing. And it costs less too. It costs less to dress now. So that's amazing. That's non-scale victories, and you get them every day. Every day there's a non-scale victory. Like the other day, I was cleaning my bathtub, right? Just cleaning my bathtub. And I remember when I was overweight, I couldn't reach on the far end of the bathtub to clean it. I had to have my husband do it because my belly was in the way. So my belly was stopping me from reaching the other side of the bathtub to clean it. Now I'm able to do it, which is so silly, but it's a non-scale victory that I'm proud of. I'm proud to say that I can do that now. So if you're struggling right now, if you just had surgery and you're just hoping that things will get better, they will. I promise you they will. And every day you're going to have some sort of victory, a non-scale victory that has nothing to do with numbers, that is going to make you grateful for what you can accomplish now. Things that you didn't know that you were missing on, that now you're able to do. It's a blessing. It's really, really a blessing, and I'm so grateful. What else can I tell you? 1 year post-op gastric bypass surgery. My energy is off the roof. I have so much energy. I work overnights now. I work at the hospital that did my bariatric surgery, which I'm so proud to say. And so I work overnights and I have energy. I mean, I raise my son here at home. I don't have him in daycare, so I take care of him during the day. I have a small nap in the afternoon, and then I go to work overnight, and I have the energy to stay up all night and then come back here in the morning, take care of a very active 4-year-old, and then do the same thing again and again, because I just have the energy now. I have energy for days, and it's great. I am no longer lethargic. I am no longer just like in pain anymore, which makes me want to just do more, makes me want to just move more and see more and just do more just because I can now, which is great. Most importantly, my overall health has improved. I'm able to do things that I couldn't do before. I have so much energy, so much confidence, just so much more appreciation for life now that I can participate in it. I can really say that I can keep up with a 4-year-old, which is great. Just my overall well-being is just so much better now. And I'm saying this to you with full respect to anyone who's struggling right now with their weight. I am saying this with full respect to anyone that is struggling with medical conditions and dealing with constant pain and fatigue. I'm saying this with respect because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to, be on the sidelines, not being able to do things, not being able to fit in places. not having the energy to do things. And so I'm saying this with full respect so I can share this with you in case you're thinking about having bariatric surgery, or in case you just had bariatric surgery and you're in the regret phase. I'm saying this with full respect because I know what it's like. And so I don't want my message to be, oh, look at me, I'm so much better now that I've lost weight. No. Yes, I feel so much better. Yes, I feel so much better. But that's not what I'm here to say. What I'm here to say is bariatric surgery is an individual process. It's really a personal journey that you're on. Everybody's medical condition is different. Everybody's struggles are different. So what happens for me is not the same for you. What happens for that person is not the same for you. Don't look at people that have negative experiences and think, oh, that's going to happen to me too. Just trust in the process. Trust in a medical team. Surround yourself with a medical team that can guide you and tell you exactly what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, what to expect. So you go into it with realistic expectations and trust the process. I truly mean it. Trust the process. Don't try to push the process along. Enjoy the process every day as it is. And eventually the weight will come off. I was so obsessed with the number on the scale, especially at the beginning, and it would go up and down. And I was so upset every time it would go up. It's like, why is it going up? And sometimes it's just water retention. Sometimes your body is just healing and it just needs to hold on to weight for a while. There's so many reasons why the scale might go up. There's so many reasons why it doesn't go down as quickly as you want. And it could be anything to being, premenopausal, being menopausal, having a thyroid problem like I do, or it could be just water retention, right? Sometimes it's also because you're not drinking enough water. So don't obsess over the number on the scale. It's not about the number on the scale. In fact, I want to share with you that but I thought that number was way too high. I wanted to be at 180. That's the number I had in mind. In fact, the number I have in mind is 178. I am now 5'9", so I lost a little bit of height with this journey, and I wanted to be 180 pounds, and I'm not. I've actually gained some weight towards the end of this year, just because of all the struggles that I've been going through right now with trying to adapt with my overnight schedule and dealing with my mom's illness as well, and just not prioritizing myself as much as I should be. So now I'm at 232. So I have about 50 pounds to lose, and that's okay. That's okay. I have lost so much weight already. I know I can do it. I'm not going to put a pressure on myself. I'm healthier, happier, and that number on the scale means nothing. So I don't weigh myself every day anymore. I weigh myself maybe once a month. I had my annual visit at the bariatric clinic. I found out how much I weighed. I'm like, oh, that sucks because I weighed less this summer, last time I had checked. And they're like, that's okay. You're still in the range that we expected you to be. And just take it as it is and just continue on with drinking your water, getting your protein in, and the weight will come off. And the weight will stabilize when it needs to stabilize as well. So if I want to leave you off with something right now, I just want you to know that a year post-op is not a perfect journey. The weight goes up and down, and it can become frustrating. And all I can tell you is just be patient. It's not about the number on the scale. It's about being healthier. It's about being more lively. It's about having all that energy. It's about getting rid of some medications. It's about getting rid of some illnesses, getting rid of the pain, the discomfort, the shame. The shame. Like, nobody talks about the shame, but the shame. There's so much shame associated to being overweight. So much things that we think about in our head when you're overweight, like, will I be able to sit there? Can I go with my friends to that bar? Is there a place for me to fit? You know, I want to go on a trip. Well, I need a seatbelt extender. It's like the shame and just the thoughts that go in your head that just drive yourself crazy, having to think about things that people at an average weight don't ever have to think about, you know? And so if you're thinking about having surgery, just do your research. Just do your research. Surround yourself with a good medical team and do what feels good for you and your heart. But believe that if you do have this surgery, believe that it'll be a success and believe that it'll change your life, because it will. I promise you. So that's my little nugget of knowledge that I wanted to share with you 1 year post-op gastric bypass. I hope that it was useful to you. I would love to hear your comments. I absolutely love getting your comments and hearing what your experience is, where you're at in your journey, and any question I can answer. I would definitely love to do that for you. So please go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you're interested about this kind of journey, this kind of experience, or if you just want to follow my progress, because I'm going to keep doing videos probably once a month just to let you know where I'm at least for the first 2 years of this journey. So that was that. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support, and I hope to see you on the next video.